man.
Hey, y'all sit down in there.
It's the kids.
Yeah. I got the troops with me.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right. My troops ain't here right now. Usually they running around yelling, screaming. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. Just maintaining, man. All we could do.
Right. Absolutely all we could do. It's definitely good to see you, man. And I can't thank you enough for doing this, man.
Yeah, it's an honor, man.
Man, it's an honor to have you, man. You've been destroying it over the years. Doing what you do, man. It's like you started a whole new movement, with what you do. And I think that's just so dope, and what this is all about is really giving people an opportunity. It's giving us the opportunity as musicians, a lot of gospel musicians, with great legacies such as yours. Yeah, you on YouTube and, you got your Instagram and all of that. And this is just adding to that fact, man, that we just need to document what we do a little bit more. And for me, that's what this is all about, man. Like a lot of people, they know your music, they hear your music. Some of them know a little bit of what you're capable of, but not really all. And but a lot of them don't really know your history, man. The family, pops, your upbringing, the conventions, the schools you went to, and, all of those good stories, man, that a part of makes you who you are, man. But like I said, a lot of people definitely do know of your music, and which is something I'd like to. It's so much, man. I'll let you do most of the talking about some of that history stuff, man. But I want to make sure people know. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. And then I gotta make sure I share this. Yeah, there it is. Now let me also do this. I mean, you want a lot of people's records and all of that, but which is great, and we'll cover it. We'll talk about that. But I want to get right into some of your own stuff, man, because that's where, to me, as an artist, where you are now. You know what I'm saying? I know you're still helping people and still doing great things, but this stuff right here, we gonna get right into.
When you're going through, just remember this word, everything.
Doobie Powell, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out.
Now listen, everybody clap your hands out now this evening. Yeah. Listen, I want y'all to help me say, everything will be alright.
Everything will be alright.
Say, everything will be alright.
Everything will be alright.
Everybody say, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say, everything,
everything will be alright.
God told me it will. Everything will be alright. Sing it like that if you believe it. Open up your mouth and help me sing, yeah. Yeah. Come on, y'all, let's move. Everything, say.
Everything will be alright.
Turn the background up. Everything, yeah.
Everything will be alright.
I know it will. Everything will be
Alright.
Don't worry about the thing, no. Oh, yeah.
Everything will be alright.
You can't fix it yourself, no way. So listen, don't stress about
Don't
it.
stress about it.
Don't worry about
Don't
it.
worry about it.
Everything will.
Everything will be alright.
Don't stress about
Don't
it.
stress about it.
Oh,
Don't worry about it.
everything, yeah.
Everything will be
Say it again, say. Don't stress about
Don't
it.
stress about it. Don't worry
Oh,
about it.
everything, yeah.
Everything will be alright.
Don't stress about it.
Stress about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, Break it down, PJ, take some. Break it down. Everything is gonna be all right. Everything is gonna be all right.
Oh, y'all can listen to that over and over, brother, because you already know that's where my head is at when it comes to that kind of funk, smooth, out, crazy. Like what I hear when I listen to that, all I kept saying to myself was, Donald Blackman, Thomas Whitfield. I just keep saying to myself, this dude got all that color and more.
Man, those was two of the greatest right there.
Come on, man. Well, you seem to be an extension of them and more, and of course, the great senior, your pops. What's up, brother?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Hey, man, listen, it's a great thing, man, just to be alive in this time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank God for Jesus, man, and I thank God for music.
Amen.
Music has definitely been a sustainer in this time, you know. So I can't complain, man. I'm good.
That's good, man. So tell me, tell the people, when did it all begin for you, man?
A birth.
Yeah. You came out playing. Did you come out playing drums?
Well,
Did you come out trying to play keys? Did you?
I was, you know, anybody that, you know, really know anything about me know, you know, I'm a drummer first.
That's
You know,
right.
that's my first love. You know, drums is everything to me. I started playing drums when I was a little tight, when I was, you know, 2.5, 3 years old. That's when I first got on the kit. And it's been love at first sight ever since. But you know, I got to credit, of course, God gets all the glory. But you know, my dad, he's the reason for all of this, you know, from you know, and not just me, my other two brothers, and pretty much anybody that was connected to him. He's, you know, he's the one, you know, from not only the fact that he was and still is a great musician, a great innovator when it comes to music and musicality. Hubert Powell, you know, he don't get the credit in my book. He don't get the credit that he should, but he's pioneered a lot of musicians to this day. And if, you know, it wasn't for him doing what he calls this the headphone treatment, you know, from birth, from when we were little, infants. He would put headphones on us at night, and we would go to sleep listening to George Duke and Parliament and Chick Corea, Herbie, anything that was popular, Yellow Jackets, Jeff Lorber. I mean, I can keep going. This is, along with the church music, along with the gospel music, but those were the things that pricked my heart early on. And I didn't understand why I had such a love for all this other stuff. But it was when I got a little older, I realized I've been listening to this before I can even understand, so, he gets all the credit, man. And then just being around him, I tell people all the time, the biggest teacher is influence. And some people don't get that and understand it. I can show you can show people your licks all day long. You could, but that's not gonna, catapult them into the greatness that they can, achieve. That's not gonna make them a better musician, just knowing your licks. That don't mean nothing, or knowing your runs or chords, or, but the influence of a great man, the influence of an innovator, the influence of someone who's unique and original in their approach to whatever it is that you're trying to become or obtain. Influence, just being around my dad and watching him. That's how I learned how to work the studio, watching my father, watching him in the studio, just sitting there and not saying nothing, just being around him while he was doing it, and then it rubbed off, being in church with him while he teach the choir, while he, while he was on the organ, and, and then actually playing with him and him getting on me, tough love from an early kid.
Yeah.
We don't have, a lot of people don't get that stuff these days, but I thank God and I appreciate it, man, that helped get me to the place, where I am mentally and mentally and spiritually, man, with my music. So he gets all of it.
That's awesome, man. What were you? I know he was playing in church, but did you get to witness and experience your dad maybe playing in any other jazz settings as a young kid?
I did a few times, not much. But I used to go to some of his rehearsals. He used to be in a band, a funk band called Wood, Brass, and Steel. A lot of their music has been sampled throughout the hip hop and a lot of their music has been sampled. And you probably heard a song and didn't even realize it was them. But yeah, he was in a funk band called Wood, Brass, and Steel, and with Doug Wimbush. Doug Wimbush is like,
Wow.
one of the coldest cats to this day on bass, and a few others, Skip McDonald and Harold Sargent, my big unks, and some other cats that was in the group. But I used to go to some of their rehearsals and witness that. But being around him more, so listening to the records that they did, before he got back into the church, but he brought that same energy and that same mindset into the church. And, it's difficult sometimes when you're very original and unique in your delivery and approach to what you do. It don't always grab everybody because it's different.
That's right.
So what he was doing, which is what some people are trying to do now, he was already doing it. People like him and Nat Townsley, rest in peace, Nat Townsley, and
Right.
So many other people who were innovators in their approach to music. My dad was right up there at the top of the list, but those people don't never get the recognition that they should for what they're bringing to the table, because a lot of people don't get it right away. and then
That's right.
sometimes it's too late, but he was doing all this stuff he's doing, all this stuff. Well, I should say all this stuff that I'm doing, and like my brothers are doing. We watched him do years ago. He was already on that other planet.
Right.
He was just trying to catch up.
Yeah, it was a lot of them cats back then. Even all the cats from King's Temple, right? The
Hmm.
Commons, the Meeks, Willard, and Junior. Yeah, all of them, man. Me and Arcel talk about that all the time. You know,
Yep.
man, you listening to them records. How many records did your dad put out of his own?
Um, let's
And
see.
what were they?
Well, he had it back in the '80s. He had a group that he started with my mom and his sister, and it was kind of a family group, but he had a few other people outside of the family in the group as well. And it's called Gospel Truth, and they put out one record as a group, but they were singing all the time, singing everywhere. Um, and then years later, he tapped back into his jazz roots and into his he tapped back into that, and he started doing something. And I don't want to start no trouble, but uh he he definitely pioneered the gospel jazz movement. There was a movement back in the late '80s,
I heard that.
early '90s, and it was coined gospel jazz because it was instrumental. But my dad was doing that years ago, and Ben Tankard hooked up with my pops and kind of gleaned from him, but Ben Tankard kind of made it
A
a
business.
thing. He got signed,
Mm-hmm.
for everybody else, and
Mm-hmm.
but my dad had been doing that, but then them two became the kind of the front runner for that movement, for the jazz movement. It was a few other people, like I want to say, I think Allen and Allen, they was in that class. They were a gospel jazz duo. And there was some other people, but my dad and then Ben Tankard, they were like the guys that pioneered that movement. But he put out about, I want to say about 4 or 5, maybe 6 records within that span of time,
Mm-hmm.
from the late '80s, early mid '90s.
What was one
Um,
of the ones that stands out the most for you? That really,
uh,
really was like,
well, they
wow.
all stand out because I was the fly on the wall with all of them, But the one that's the closest to my heart was the one that he actually let me co-produce with him, uh, which was called "Keep Pressing On," and that was like my first record that I actually ever produced or was even a part of with the title producer or co-producer. And my dad gave me that shot, and I'll never forget that, because that was a big record. He got nominated for a couple Stellars.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just so honored, man, that he would even allow me to even be a part of that, that process with him. But I was ready because I had been sitting there just watching for years, like, this is gonna be me one day. I want to be like my pops. So, that one stands out the most to me, far as closest to my heart. But I mean, all of them were great records. I mean, you could find them on some of them online now, and you listen to it and you'll understand why I am who I am.
Is that the one with "Speak to My Heart" on it?
Yes, Speak to My Heart. We did Speak to My Heart. We did I Will Go, Bishop Head song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we did man, we did a few other tunes.
I haven't heard that in so long, and I want to give a listen to that. I definitely want to give a listen to that. Let's check that out. Starting off right. Yeah, so it's pretty evident
Yeah,
that you was
yeah.
inspired by that.
Yes, sir.
The vibe, the you know, the feel, the voicing, you know. But what was amazing to me, man, was you going from most amazing to me was you going from drum. I mean, like when I first heard you on drums, uh, you know, like probably everybody else, they were like, "What in the world? Who?" Like your approach, like you were just coming from like another way, another direction. Um, and then to make that transition to keys, it just seemed like overnight you just became as cold of a keyboard player and organist that you were as on the drums, man. And so clearly production boils in your blood, right? You are clearly a multifaceted musician. You play. Do you play bass too?
Not enough to call myself a bass player. I
Um,
can trick you in the studio, but that's about it.
okay, okay, yeah, but definitely, man. I mean, who was your pops influenced by? You told me some of the people that he had you listening to, you know, Jeff Lorber and Joe Sample and Chick Corea and those guys.
Hmm.
Um, but who was he listening to? Was it, I don't I mean Joe Sample might have been one, but Jeff Lorber maybe not so much when he was growing up.
Well, I would say when my dad was coming up, I know he was a really big fan of Billy Preston.
Mm,
Billy Preston was somebody he looked at, as that guy when he was coming up.
yeah.
Which is, my dad was predominantly an organ player. That was like his thing.
Hmm.
And so quite naturally, somebody like Billy Preston, who predominantly played organ, even though he played everything,
Hmm.
piano and stuff, but organ was, where he kind of really made his name. Um, my dad was listening to him, and then when he got older, he he started traveling with jazz organist Groove Holmes, and that
I
was
didn't know
another
that.
person he looked up to. And
Wow.
Groove Holmes is still, in my book at the top of that jazz organ list. Even people like Joey DeFrancisco, he
Hmm.
swears by Groove Holmes. And if you listen to Joey,
Oh
you
yeah.
already understand, you know. Uh, so yeah, those were some of his early ons, and then he got into listening to. My dad is the reason why I love George Duke,
Yeah.
because he loved George Duke. And
Yeah.
George Duke, I tell people all the time, my two biggest influences musically in my life is my dad, of course, and George Duke.
Hmm.
I've I've gained knowledge from all, but George was one of the ones that really pricked my heart, and just everything he brought to the table, man, was just phenomenal.
Hmm.
His approach to chord changes, and his his approach to just his mindset on his way of thinking musically was just mind-boggling to me. And another influence uh, that I gained from my dad was this Japanese artist. Uh, a lot of people don't really know this guy, but his name is Utaka.
Utaka.
Yeah, Utaka he's another one of my big influences musically. When I heard of Utaka when I was like 14 years old, and I didn't. It was so phenomenal to me. I didn't understand what I was listening to, but I know as I had to have this record, so I saved up money to go get my own record because my dad had one, but he would never let me. He wouldn't let me. Hold it. So I had to go get my own. Man, that
Yeah.
record, to this day, I listen to this record, and it's like it just came out, and
Wow.
I was 14 when I first heard it. So, go figure. So yeah, those, pretty much people that influenced my dad became my influence, because what he was listening to is what I wanted to listen to. I was the awkward kid going to school with a Walkman listening to Donald Fagen and Steely Dan, and kids
Right.
clowning me on the bus because they like, man, what is Hubert listening to? What is that? He not listening to the Fat Boys and
Right.
LL Cool J. I was like, this is what I want to listen to in the morning on my way to school. I want to listen
Right.
to good music, So I was weird like that, But hey, I thank God for the weirdness.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was back in the days with the Sony Walkmans, right? With the padded
Yeah,
little
that's
padded
it.
headphones.
With the little tiny headphones.
Yeah. The Walkmans. You get like $49, $79. Yeah.
You save up money to go get blank tapes.
Blank tapes, right? To start making your own little mixtape of some of your favorite songs. That's when you study music, you couldn't watch it on YouTube. You had to rewind to try to learn like what was that I just heard. So you
Yep,
rewind.
yep.
Was
Be
wearing
winding so much the
you there,
tape get out of tune.
there you go. We was wearing them tapes out and didn't know we was doing that. Nobody said don't rewind the tapes that much. They're not gonna last but a couple of months. But I guess that was the trick. Man,
Yeah.
so you saying around 14, 15 in your early teens. Now, that's when keys were always tickling your ears, man, and in your heart because that's what dad was doing. But most kids do gravitate to drums. I started on drums as well. And I was probably 15 also when I switched. That's when I kind of switched to the bass. I started playing guitar first, but then I switched to actually the bass guitar at
Mm.
17. But what made you? Because man, the drums were like it was like a fury when you played, man. Like the pocket was insane, the passion was ridiculous. It had to be a lot to put them sticks down for the ivory.
Well, throughout the years, man, just being around the whole body of music, just being around the whole creation of music, you start to develop a mind of creativity. And if you're not a real musician if you don't understand everybody else. If you don't
Mm,
understand everybody else's part in the band or on the record or you know what I'm saying, then you're not really applying yourself as a real professional musician because as a drummer, I need to understand the bass. I need to understand the guitar. I need to
mm,
understand the keyboards or whatever the band consists of. I need to understand. I may not need to be able to play them all, but I need to be able to understand the significance of that instrument or that part of this union musically to make my part even that much more better. So, as early on, I had a understanding of that, which allowed me to be able to understand. Like in my mind, I'm like the dopest bass player you'll ever want to hear. Like in my mind, I may can't put it on the actual acts, but in my mind, I'm killing everybody. I'm killing everybody in my mind.
I hear
you
so
know,
many,
but
I hear so many keyboard players say that, man. So many good ones like you, man. They love bass. Like, why don't y'all
yeah,
just be bass players?
if I really had the time to sit and practice, I would. Like, I really would love to actually be able to do it myself. And I know so many other cats that have that luxury. Like my bro Mike Burrell, he's a double, triple threat. He play all the instruments.
Mhm.
So there's so many other cats I know that do that, and but yeah, bass, you just gotta know, you gotta understand the instrument, and because of that, that allowed me to actually push myself into the production realm. because
Mhm.
I knew what every other instrument should be able to do. I knew what the aux guy, even though we wasn't calling him the aux guy back in the day, but I knew what that, you know what I'm saying? I knew what that was in my
Mhm.
mind, the pretty stuff, you
Mhm.
know. And so that just pushed my development into production and wanting to be on that side of the fence with when it comes to music.
So when you started doing records, live records, some of the gospel records, what was that like for you? Because that started on drums for you, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't do a whole bunch of records, especially national. I did a few records that was, you know, big, but and then a lot of local stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But
but
dude, you ended up on a record, and what's amazing about that, I guess, it's kind of like it's not how much you say, it's what you say when you have the opportunity to say it. Because you just said it, you weren't on a lot of national records, but you did
mhm,
a couple. But you did one in particular that was like a bunch of sick, crazy producers that got together on an album that normally probably wouldn't work out right. The album would be either everybody's scared to step on each other's toes, or everybody's overplaying way too much. That
mhm,
Everlasting Life record changed. Yo, there's moments and I'm telling you, man, and you noticed there are moments in the history of gospel music where everything shifts. We do that now. Oh, we
mhm,
could do that. So we had even before, Thomas Dorsey. Oh, we could do that. Mahalia Jackson. I mean, James Cleveland. Oh, we could do that now. Andre Crouch. Oh, what's happening here? Then the
mhm,
Hawkins come. Oh, wait. Now we could. Oh, the Clark sisters. I mean, then the Winans. It was things like wait. I mean things that make the whole ocean shift and go this way.
Thomas Whitfield.
Thomas Whitfield. Absolute,
Yes, sir.
absolute. I mean, every live stream I do, that man's name comes up because Detroit was beasting. My
Mhm,
goodness, Detroit was beasting, and Tommy he was responsible for so many people. You know, um, with that shift, and you know, I mean, records that now there were a lot of shifts that people don't know about, like you mentioned
mhm,
earlier with your dad. Those were shifts, the Meeks and with King's Temple and there were other undercurrents of shifts that were, if like you said, if people go listen to them now, man, they sound like, oh, I can't believe I missed this. But that's only because they weren't on a national release kind of marketing this in the grand scheme of things, right?
mhm,
Um, that's all. But then comes along and everything was coasting pretty cool for a while, and everybody I mean, then Kirk Franklin came, right? And then that was another more contemporary shift, and they were like, all right, some people liked him, some people didn't, but he was going gold and platinum at least on everything he put out. So,
mhm,
and he had a sound and a style for sure. And then there were others, of course, commission and there were all of these shifts that people were like, oh my God. And then we didn't even touch quartet, right? Mighty Clouds, you know, Canton Spirituals, the Williams brothers, like some
mhm.
hard stuff. And I wanted to say to you earlier, um, when we were talking and you were talking about ear therapy with your dad, which I like, with your dad giving you those headphones and you go to sleep, hey, listen to this, calm yourself down, and then you downloading all of this crazy music in your head.
Mhm.
That was also happening with some of these gospel records, right? Because a lot of people didn't know Joe Sample was playing with Danny Bell,
Oh yeah. Yep.
you
Yep.
know, Steve Gadd, Joe Sample, Abe Laboriel, Greg Philliganes.
Yep.
Who knew these on gospel records.
Alex
That we
Acuna.
Alex Acuna, that's right. You know, so we feeling like, okay, we got a grasp on what's going on with gospel, and everybody's gunning for this, gunning for that, and you know, the bars were raised super high by a lot of those artists that we mentioned. Then comes along Kim Burrell. It was either a second or third with that Everlasting Life, because I know she had a couple of records before then, but that Everlasting Life record with you on it, Jonathan, Asaph, uh, uh, Chris, I believe. Uh, I forgot. It was two guys that played bass on that record. I
Yeah,
forgot
Joel
their
Smith and Chuck Smith.
yeah, Chuck, Joel, definitely game changer, man. So it
Yeah.
was clear to me listening to you playing on that record that, I mean, y'all were all just, that was an amazing chemistry from her onto the selection of each and everybody was producing on their station, producing on their instrument. That's what it sounded like.
See, now you just brought it back to what I was saying a minute ago, that my mind was set up early on to be able to understand my surroundings. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? So that's why that worked, because everybody that was a part of that were great, even on other instruments. You know, not even just on the instruments that they actually played. You know, Johnny DeBose, he played guitar, but he played bass. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
Joel Smith, drums and bass. Uh, who else was on there? Chris Collier, he plays sax, but he could play keys. You know, so it was so many different dynamics. Alex, he plays drums, bass, and you know, and keys, and you know, so it was so many uh multifaceted dynamics, and everybody wanted to be the best at their part, not so much the best. You know, we wasn't trying to stand out and be heard individually. You know, we knew once we started, it was like the first song. We all knew, like, okay, this we got to really make this. Like, we can't play with this, because this is, after the first song, it was just like, oh my God, this is like, this is not too much, but it was just like, wow, like this is really happening, because this, up until that point, there was really nothing like that.
Like,
Um,
this is what I'm saying. Was that the
musically,
I'll Keep Holding On? Was that the first one that y'all cut, that you on?
well, that was first on the record, but the first song I actually cut for that record was Prodigal Son. That was the first song, first day in the studio. I was there for over a week. Um, and the first day in the studio, I cut Prodigal Son, because that was the only song that I actually had to practice to. All the other songs I cut on the fly. I just learned it and cut it. But that song was the only song that was actually given to me to learn beforehand. So I cut that song first, and I had to. Kim even gave me props, and I was like, wow, I didn't really even think about that, but man, I cut that song. I was so hyped to do that record. I cut that song in one take, and
Really?
Alex and they was like, Alex being the producer, he just made me cut it again, but they still used the first take. You know, so that it was just a moment, like, all of us knew we had to seal this moment, man, because this was a great moment in time musically. And then it shouldn't have been no other way for the type of singer Kim is. Like, it didn't need to be any less
That's right.
or
It
more than what it was.
couldn't be. It really couldn't be. You're right. I want to play the reprise. The prodigal son is the whole song is killing. That reprise, man, you just took out the water hose and wet everybody up on that with bro. Yeah, the whole song is killing, and the record we're talking about, I'm sure everybody knows. If you don't, it's Kimberell, Everlasting Life. Um, this is the man that we're talking to right now, on drums, killing this. Check it out.
So long, I know I was so singing on. Don't leave me out in the cold. Don't wanna be in the cold. Don't wanna be in the cold.
That song still gives me goosebumps, bro. It's
Man,
still
thank Alex for sneaking that on, because the label actually tried to get that taken off the record.
wow.
They tried to get because it was
That's
all
another-
one.
that's
It was
another-
all one song. It was a whole.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Enterprise. I mean, the reprise only came because the label didn't want that part of the song. So he snuck it in mastering. He just faded that part. In. That's why it's like another. A
Yeah.
reprise part, because it was all one song. It all went together. It wasn't there wasn't a break. So he snuck that in. He snuck that in there. So
Wow. What this is one more I wanna get in from that, because let me see if I can find it. Yeah. I'm gonna play one more from that record and gonna move on to something else. This whole album was in my car. I can't say for weeks. I can't say for months. I think I probably in a couple of different cars that I had. I would be listening to it all the time.
yeah, that was the one, man. I used to listen to it like I wasn't even on it.
That last, not the real crazy one that which is two that you did kind of like a minute in, when it went into the musical interlude. The one coming out when you come, it's like you start on the ride, and then it transitions to the toms when you do that roll breakdown. That joint is crazy, man. You probably just like, I mean, I was like, who does that? Who does a roll around the drums off the ride cymbal? Like, most people don't even have that kind of control. That was just crazy, man. It just showed that your ears absolutely insane. And the way man, all of you, man, and this was such a classic record, man. And yeah, here's
Yeah, that was
another
a fun record, man.
I keep holding on. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. I keep holding on. Gotta keep holding on, holding on, holding on. Time is filled with swift transition. Not a earth the move can stand. Not a earth the move can stand. Build your hopes, something's eternal. Everybody hold to God's unchanging. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Holding on. Just keep holding on, holding, on. Just keep holding on. This is not a time for giving up, but it's a time for holding on. Trust in Him. Whatsoever years may bring, whatsoever your years may bring, even if your friends forsake you, still go to Him cling. God's unchanging. Everybody hold on. If I were you, I would get a real good grip and never let go, never let go, never let go, no. Get a real good grip and don't let go, no. God's unchanging.
game changer. Game changer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that was a great record. It can never be. I don't think anybody's.
Say
I
it.
shouldn't say that. I shouldn't
Say
say
it. Say it. Or I'm gonna say it for you.
that. It's
will
gonna be
never.
tough. It's gonna be
They will
tough.
never. It just won't be. It just won't be. And because listen, there's just certain records, man. Like I was saying, that the chemistry was perfect, and I don't know if I think it was a gamble that went well, because most gambles like that, there are other phenomenal plenty gospel records with heavy hitters on it, and they're great records. Like one of my favorite choir records of all times, man, live is East Coast Regional.
Ooh, I was just listening to that the other day. Man, that record ain't even on like iTunes, man. I actually found the actual CD. I was cleaning out a box of CDs I had like literally last week, and I just imported it into my computer because I was like, man, this was another one of those type of records.
Yep. It was.
I mean, had my big uncle on there, the late Jeff Davis.
Yep.
Killing on drums, and Dewey Browder.
Dewey Browder was murdering on bass on that record.
Johnny Rose.
Yeah.
Joe Wilson.
Joel Wilson. Mm-hmm.
Man, that record was great.
Yeah.
Overture.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That whole record is it's just again. So you all of these heavy hitters that came together with it's a it worked. It was a game changer. It just and so this record that you did with Kim was a game changer. And so in your playing you can definitely hear your first of all your tuning, man. Your drum tuning is superb because it cuts like crazy. And again that comes from the headphone therapy, man. You all of those years you hearing music and you probably don't even realize it, and you're analyzing. Man, like you hear that Tom, little things that stand out to you over the years. And now when it's your turn to cut records, you're subconsciously, I guess, remembering some of those things.
Hmm. Well, that
Yeah.
record, I was trying to sound like Dave Weckl, not in the sense of my chops, but my tuning and the way my drums was cutting. I was using the same set he was using. I was using the original Maple Custom
I'm
Yamaha.
so glad that.
So I was literally channeling his sound sonically on the drums, and those drums made it easy for that to cut through like that, man. Those
Mhm.
Yamaha drums. I was never really big on the kick on Yamaha, but it still sounded good. The kicks wasn't like powerful, but the way those drums cut, man, it was more so the drums versus the mixing that cut through. Everything was stock. The snare was Maple Custom, like it was the whole thing. I was never a one cymbal brand guy, so there's a plethora of different cymbals you hear on that, because I was into just how I wanted cymbals to sound when it came to me. A lot
Right.
of cats get into endorsing a cymbal, and some of them don't even really like the cymbal, but because they endorsing them, they play them.
Because they
You know,
got it for 80% off or something like that. They just playing it, right?
yeah, I ain't into that. I'd rather just play what feels good and what sounds good to me. You know, on what it sounds like when I hit it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
How it makes me feel as my sound. So
Clearly during that record, um, you were already paying. How much were you paying attention? And some of these questions, clearly I do know the answer to, but this is of an educational situation. Some of the people that are listening, there's already a lot of comments. I'm gonna try to get to some of them. Thank you all for listening and joining us with Doobie Powell. How much of that was were you tuning into? I know you were channeling a little bit of that Weckl electric band kind of drumming feel sound, and which was
mhm.
turned out to be amazing. How much of the actual such a big record, man. Did Kim have her scratch vocals there for you to vibe to, or did you kind of have to imagine?
Honestly, not on all the songs I played. A lot of the songs I played, it was just um, background vocals,
Okay.
and this is another fact that people always be blown away when I say it, or when they ask about this record, because I get asked about excuse me, about that record like it's my record. I mean, people ask me about that record all the time. I done been overseas. I done signed that record. Like
Mhm.
people love that record, man. So a lot of people ask the process of that record, and honestly, the process is that none of us were really in the studio at the same time cutting that record. Like when I cut that record, I was by myself. It was just me, Alex, and And sometimes Kim, she'd come in there because she was actually, the label had actually moved her to Kansas City where we cut the record.
I remember
So
that.
she was living in Kansas City for months. And so sometimes she'd be at the studio. And but I was there most of the time by myself and Alex and, you know, engineers or whatever. So I was like the foundation. So I was cutting to a lot, you know, some dummy tracks, which is pretty much what we do now. It's just, we don't do it in person. Now we sending tracks to people to cut, you know. But yeah, I was in there, and then I would leave, and then Joel would come, and he would leave, and Johnny would come. Or, you know, it wasn't like we was all. It sounded like we was all in the same room, but
Yep. And that's the point of the question. That's why I asked that question, because a lot of people, I get, you know, I've been asked the question too, and I tell them, no, I don't know. They sent me that track, and they go, really? It sounds like all playing together. So how do you, as a musician, it's kind of redundant because you did answer this already, but I'm going to ask it now as a direct question. How do you, as a musician, do that, pull that off?
Well, you got to think like this, like the song is being created all at that moment, you know. And you got to think like all this goes back to what I said earlier about understanding everybody's part. So the fact that I don't hear it don't mean that I don't acknowledge that it's going to be there.
There you go.
So I may not hear rhythm guitar on this track right now, but I know it's going to be there. So it makes me fall back into my position even more, so I don't get in the way of what's going to be, you know. And so that's pretty much what it is. You just got to understand your surroundings, whether it's there or not. You know it's going to be there,
right?
You know. So
how did you become such an airtight pocket drummer? I mean, you're just so solid. You're so, like, each your snare hit, your hi-hat hit, your kick, they all sound and feel like a. There's no second guessing. It's such a snap to it. How did you develop that style, or is it in your technique or your approach? You know.
Well, it's definitely in my approach. I always wanted to be as direct as a drum machine. So if you think about like the drum machine, when you program it, it's gonna play exactly what you program. Velocity wise, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be there. Dexterity and stamina is always gonna be there. So with me, I wanted to sound like that. My late uncle Cecil Powell, he was a drummer, and he had the nickname the Human Drum Machine. That was like his nickname around, you know, around here and everywhere, because he was in them, you know, playing all them all platinum records and Sugar Hill Gang and all that type of stuff. So a lot of those beats you hear that's been sampled a million times, it was probably him on the drums.
Wow.
You know, and so they used to call him the Human Drum Machine. And when I started playing drums, I would always be around him. He would sit me on his leg, and, you know, he would keep me rooted in that regard. So I would always make sure that when I kick, the two things that got to be for sure is the 1 and 2. You know, or depending on the time signature, the boom and the cat got to be You know what I'm saying? That got to
Mhm.
be definite. If nothing else ain't definite, that got to be definite. Because most of the people that's listening or trying to comprehend what you're doing don't really understand all the in between stuff, and that's where a lot of musicians get lost in because they're so busy trying to prove
Hmm.
that their musicality and their capability is as vast as they know it is. But sometimes it don't matter what you know because the people that's listening don't even understand it to begin with.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, so I was always taught to make sure that one is on and the things that needed to be specific was specific, you know. And so with my uncle and then my dad, once I started playing with him, he was he was a drill sergeant, boy. My dad ain't let nothing, he ain't let nothing get by. He used to yell at me, and he used to be playing. I mean, at the gig, he'd be like, "Hey, stop all that groove, play the groove." You know what I'm saying? And that was instilled in me as a kid. You know what I'm saying? That this is what's important. All that other stuff ain't important right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now me as a keyboard player, you know, I'm kind of tough on drummers because I know what the drummer's job is supposed to be, and I know what I should hear depending on the song. You know, so it's not too many drummers, you know, that I call on. Because some drummers they get around me and feel like they got
Mhm.
something to prove,
That would be
you
me.
know. So, you know, but yeah, man, that was my upbringing, man. Just playing the groove, and you know, my dad was a real funk guy. He's a real funk guy. So the funk, when you playing funk, you ain't got too many choices. You got to be content with the few choices you got
That's right.
and make that work. Because if
That's right.
that don't work, then the song don't work
Right.
or the groove don't work. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And then, you know, so that was one thing. And then the fact that I used to play with ankle and wrist weights, like 10-pound ankle
Really?
and wrist weights. Like I used to play them with church in church. Because you know, coming up, we ain't have a whole bunch of practice time.
Mhm.
You know, church was, you know, church was church, but church was also practice.
Mhm. That's
You
true.
know, so so I'd be in church, you know, choir rehearsal or Sunday service or Tuesday night service. You know, I'd be in there playing testimony service with my ankle and wrist weights
I've
just to
never.
get my speed and my dexterity and my power uh, to the point where I can control, you know, my velocity and I can control when I want to be big and when I want to be, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm. I've never heard any drummers um, say that. That's crazy. And so clearly that work ethic transitioned to when you went full on as a solo artist and into playing keys, um, knowing all the facets of the singers and the drummers and what the bass players be doing, um, moving with the keyboards, of course, and the chord changes and chord progressions, but locking with the drummer at the same time. But even in your approach and playing keys, your pocket to me is still screams funk. Um, you you create space. You have dynamics, not too many, you know, and you know, just like some drummers, unfortunately, I guess, man, a lot of musicians in general don't really understand dynamics. Dynamics doesn't just mean loud and soft,
Mm,
you know, but some
yeah.
people think that, you know, I got dynamics. No, you know, it's not just loud and soft. A better word for it was like the word you used, velocity. I never hear cats use that word. That's somebody that knows about drum programming. That's what you're a producer. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, the producer's
yeah.
term right there, you know.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, man. So I- you do amazing stuff, man. And you know, we're not gonna stay too long. Um, but I do want people to hear a little bit of some of the stuff Doobie Powell is doing today.
Yeah. When I wake up in the morning like felt the strength, got to say to myself,
I'm blessed.
food on my table, clothes on my back, got to say to myself,
I'm blessed.
I may not have what I want, but I got what I need, got to say to myself,
I'm blessed.
God's been so good to me, got to say to myself,
I'm blessed.
hey. When I wake up in the morning, life, health, and strength, got to say to myself, food on my table, clothes on my back, got to say to myself, I made it have what I want, but I got what I need, got to say to myself, God's been so good to me, got to say to myself, hey. Ooh, yeah. God's been so good.
God's been so good to me.
Hey.
I'm blessed.
Every time I turn around, he keeps on making a way. God.
God's been so good to
Yeah.
me. I'm blessed.
Yeah. Play B. Say, I'm blessed.
I'm blessed.
I'm blessed.
I'm blessed.
Yes, I am.
I'm blessed.
Oh, when I'm on the road,
I'm blessed.
driving in my car,
I'm blessed.
flying in the plane,
I'm blessed.
riding on a train.
I'm blessed.
Sometimes it's hard,
I'm blessed.
break it day to day,
I'm
but
blessed.
I can count on him
I'm blessed.
to always make a way. Life may bring you down,
I'm
but
blessed.
through it all,
I'm blessed.
gotta tell yourself,
I'm blessed.
hey.
I can't repay it all that you've done for me.
Bro.
Boy, that was tough. It sounded cool, but that was tough, boy, because you couldn't hear nothing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know about that. When you playing it now, and with them headphones on, because they walking around the meter, the volume police.
Man, and it seemed like they was only trying to keep us quiet. I'm like, you don't hear all this other stuff?
Exactly. Meanwhile, you can't hear yourself because there's a drum battle down the hall. Right?
Man,
Bro, you
that's
sound
it.
like your dad on there. Yeah, man. Oh man, you sound like Price on the keyboards on that one, man. I was like, I'm sitting there listening, man. It makes you a little emotional, because it's like, look at all of that influence, look at all of that teaching, upbringing, and all of that experience. You got no choice but to play with dynamics in a situation like that, right? Like you said, you can't even hear yourself. You're hoping it sounds good. You don't even know what it sounds like,
Yeah.
right? So that's where all of that experience and training and everything comes in to play, man. And yeah, bro. Listen. What's next for you, man? What are you doing now?
Man, well, right now we all at the crib, so.
Right.
But I've been doing other projects and working on other people's projects and working with different artists. And 2 years ago, I started my own record label, but I haven't really had the time to develop the things I wanted to do with it. So now with having the opportunity with far as having distribution and different stuff like that, I'm starting to groom some of these artists that I'm working with far as for my label. And I'm gonna be, you're gonna be hearing about that real soon. We'll make a big thing about actually introducing my label to the world and some of the artists that's on it. So with that, and then I'm going to drop a single for another record that I'm working on. I'm going to drop a single later, probably around September or October.
Okay.
Just trying to stay current, man, and working on some local stuff here. I got a choir that I'm producing right now. That's pretty cool, and they got some good music getting ready to come out. Just trying to stay around it all, man.
Right. Somebody put in the comments. There's quite a few comments. Well, there's a question. They said, do you still work with B Hodge on bass? I'm wondering if they mean D Hodge. Derek.
No, they talking about my cousin Bam. That was him actually playing bass on that clip that you just played. Okay. Yeah. Bam is doing a lot of stuff, man. He's big time hit producer.
He plays with you on a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, before he really blew up, he was my bass player. And
can't hold us bass players down.
I still tease him, and he still, if he got time, he'll come play with me and do some stuff with me. But
is he up there? Is he in Connecticut?
He actually just moved back. He was in Atlanta for a while, living in Atlanta, and he moved back, and he's doing some big things, man. He started his own label and a lot of different companies that he has going on. So I'm real proud of my little cuz. He's doing it big, and you're gonna be hearing about him real soon as well with what he's doing.
How's the rest of the family doing?
Everybody's good, man. Like I said, mom and pops. My mom, she's great. Uh, and I got to give some credit to my mom too, man, because she's an awesome singer, and my pipes, my range, and the strongness in my voice, I know I get from her. And so she's doing good, man. My brothers, Billy, I call him my oldest brother, even though I'm older than him. But Billy act like he older than everybody. But Billy, man, he's great. Billy's, one of the dopest drummers you ever gonna hear.
Yes, sir.
And
I think we lost you for a second. Let me see something here. We can get into this.
Doobie Powell.
Yeah, I think we lost Doobie. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for checking in for sure. Yeah, he's frozen. He started talking about Billy Powell and he froze because Billy Powell is so cold. And actually, what I would like to do, if I could find it, there's one more tune in particular that I wanted to get in. These guys are so incredible as a family, of course. It's amazing. Want to just play. Doobie Powell has a bunch of records out and projects, and I want y'all to support him and find him all over Instagram and Facebook and all those other good things. All right, let's check him out. So Finding Myself Again, the name of this tune. Doobie Powell.
I desire you. No one else will do. Passionately pursuing you. From my heart I do. Oh, I desire you. Oh, no one else will do. Yeah. Passionately pursuing you. Oh, from my heart I do. I do. When I search deep within, my soul begins to remember that you call me friend. And we have something that will never ever end. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can't let you get away. No matter what my friends may say, no, I'm in touch with my play. this is what I do day by day. I desire you. No one else will do. Passionately pursuing you from my heart.
Man. Welcome back, bro. Welcome back. We don't hear you. Let me see. I got you. Let's see. Yeah, you got to unmute. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, man. Welcome back. I was just going to be playing Doobie Powell all night. You came back, man. But we were wrapping it up. I really appreciate you coming on, man. Let me see if there's any last questions I might be able to get to. Can you add? Okay, got that. That was my next question. Okay, somebody wanted to know if you're doing another record with Kim, and just everybody's just really enjoying themselves, man. Again, I thank you so much for coming on, man. Anything you'd like to say before we wrap up in particular?
Oh man, I'm just honored, man, that you even considered, rapping with me, man, and talking about, my history and my family. I think I was talking about my brother Kevin when we got disconnected.
Yeah.
But y'all watch out for him, because Kevin is definitely he's definitely the next up to bat.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean like he ain't already there. I'm just saying Kevin is, you know, he's taking his time, but when I tell you that boy, trust me, y'all are in good hands. what he's getting ready to what he's already started doing.
He's a pal. He got the sickness too, so he ain't got no choice.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yes, sir. You know. So I'm just honored, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it so much.
We appreciate you, man. We're all big fans. I'm not going to keep you any longer. I thank everybody for watching. You know, I'm gonna let this tune that's playing in the background play out, man. But I love you, brother, and we're gonna be doing something together soon as well.
Oh, we gonna do. And I want to say this, man. You one of the few people that actually gave me a shot when I was in my drumming years.
Really?
I don't know if you remember. You called me for the Kelly Price hit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I never forgot that. Man.
Way before that, man.
Nah, man. Hey, you know, I don't know. Nobody wasn't calling me, but you called me. You know, and I appreciate that, man.
No doubt, man. I love you, brother. We're going to listen to this and let it play out, and I'm going to be in touch. Everybody check this out. This is a nice little tune, too. Called Peace, Love, and by the great Doobie Powell. I could keep him all night, man, and just talk to him, but you know, we've been on an hour and a half. We're going to let this rock and enjoy, y'all.
Love you, man. Appreciate it.
Love you too, brother. Thank you.
We got to do it together.
Let's sing a song.
Oh, take 1 minute.
Just to get along.
We might as well do it together.
Cause we all gotta live together.
Put all the hatred aside.
Peace and love, by just you and me.
No one can do it alone. No, let's make the world our home. All things are possible if you believe. We can make this a better place. You can do it if you believe like me. Sing it.
People all over the world, let's sing a song.
Yeah.
Let's take 1 minute just to get along. We might as well do it together.
Yeah.
Cause we all gotta live together.
Yeah.
Let's put all the hate aside. Let peace and love find just you and me. Let peace and love find just you and me.
Love is the only way.
You and me.
Oh,
Let peace and love find just you and me.
just you and me. We can do it. I believe.
Find just you and me.
Oh, my God.
We can do it.
You and me.
We got to do this live together one day.
Power at its best is love. Implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is of correcting everything that stands against them.
Man, this joint is moving so hard. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Doobie Powell, Powell family, Hubert, Daddy, Mommy, everybody, Billy, everybody. All right, we love you all, everybody, for watching. Thank you for watching, and y'all know how we do. Just stay in touch, keep tuned on every Friday. Trying to do these. We might switch to about every other Friday because things are getting real busy. Things are opening up again. But I'm just so glad I was able to get this talented, incredible guy on this program because he needs to definitely be documented in history, him and his family, the legacy and everything that he's going to be doing moving forward. And I guess we'll all be watching out for Billy as well. I'm going to have him on here soon. Love you, bro. Thank you. Peace, y'all.